Welcome to another episode of My Brother's Video Podcast. I am your host, Eric, the Fact Checker, and I am here with my brothers today. We are on episode number 8, talking about police brutality today. It is a warranted topic. We're going to get into it today, and, we're going to talk about it. So if you're new here, please do subscribe to the channel. You can locate me on YouTube, and the brothers and I, you'll see many videos that we have out. If you like what's going on, please share. And then also, in addition, comment. We love to hear your comments. So we really appreciate you all. With that, though, as usual, I'm going to do my weekend check-in with the brothers here. We got everybody in the house today, so I'm excited. We had some people missing in action last week, but we here. So what's up, fellas? Kruna, talk to me, baby. How was your weekend?
Really good. I can't, no complaints. I had a good time. I cleaned my garage. I was happy about that. Man.
Did you move that mattress out of there?
Man, I got everything out of there, man.
Is that right?
I need to get some more stuff, though, No.
Did you hire any Mexicans?
35 years of marriage.
Hey, there you go. Hey, let me have to put on my disclaimer message. I got my wife sitting over here, right here, boy. Hey, let me get on a horn. All right. Hey, Marina Comedy, what's up, man? How you doing? How was your weekend? I heard you tell a little bit of story.
Yeah, I was in Vegas and I went to Salt Lake City, Utah. So I did a couple shows and I bought a bidet. All right, just throwing that out there. That's how bored I am, man. I bought a bidet.
Hey, hold on.
Hey, woo! Let me say.
Did you buy it offline, bro?
Oh man, you got to feel one of them. You got to go see it. You just can't buy it online.
Hey man, please tell me you bought it. Please tell me you bought it brand new too. You didn't buy it.
Oh, man, I told the lady, check the tape in the box. I said, make sure all the pieces there, make sure it's brand new. I ain't just gonna take any bidet, man, because I don't blow out like that. But
come on, bro. Come on. How about that?
That is a joke. That is not a joke.
Yeah. Hey, so listen, I asked Marina Comedy if he brought it online, because Marina Comedy, he the one who got me hooked on that easy pay. Look, what is it? Was it 5 payments over?
Easy payments, baby.
Easy payments, boy. Boy, I got hooked on Invicta. Yeah. I was like this.
Yeah, 3 o'clock.
Is that like a finger hut? What is that?
Yeah.
No, it's better than finger hut.
I was like, what is we doing here?
Yeah, we went out and we go out and party all night. Next come home like 2 o'clock in the morning and just be watching TV.
Yeah.
Easy payments.
They already know me. They like, Kevin, is that you? I said, yeah, go and give it to me. That everything. I got all that, man. The easy bake, the flavor waves. I got all that, man. I got all that.
Yeah, how about that? Hey, listen, Big Doc, how you doing, baby? What's going on?
Wonderful. Life is good, kid. I ain't got no complaints.
No?
Just went on vacation. I was on a 2-week vacation and did nothing.
Oh, I enjoyed huh?
Clearly.
I enjoyed my boys winning 2 games straight, so I'm very happy. We're 4-3. Go Niners. Yeah.
You clearly did nothing because you sure didn't join us last Monday.
Yeah.
No, I did not. I still love you guys, though. But,
are you going to share with the group what you were doing last Monday?
No.
Did you buy a bidet?
But I ain't gonna put you out there, though. I'm not gonna put you out there. I'll say it for a live show.
How about it? Hey,
Very live.
Old Soul, what's up, baby?
What's going on? This is Old Soul right here, man. I had a good weekend. Just same old work around the crib. I had to do some stuff around the house. Also, some of the work I had to do, I had to put some stuff out in the backyard, and I had some old pictures back there. They got a little wet, so we had to make sure they were dry and stuff like that. So I went through some pictures, man. Went through some old memories around, some of the family and stuff like that. That was Saturday. Sunday, I had to do some insulation up in the attic. Right. I stopped at the steps because I didn't go all the way up because it's dark up there. But I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm keeping it real.
Old Soul.
I'm keeping it real. I went as far as the step, whatever insulation I could get up in there, and that was a wrap. The professionals can do the rest. But that was my weekend. Yes, sir.
So sorry, bro. Tell them the ethnicity of the people working in your house.
We will refrain from doing that at this particular time. I'm going to say this. They do good work. That's all I'll say.
They are Hispanic, though, aren't they?
Mira.
Exactly.
Here we go. Listen. Baller, come on. Since you want to make all those sound effects over there like you a comedian, what's going on, bro?
Oh, I actually had a restful Saturday. Went and got a manicure. Sat back. Wife went out for a few hours. The kids was gone. I sat back and watched my Stanford son.
Right.
Had a game Sunday. Won the game. Came back home. Popped the grill open. Grilled a little bit. Sat back and ate some barbecue. I'm good.
How many points you scored this weekend, bro?
I knew, you know what? I knew you was going to ask me that. I had 18 just for you.
There you go. How many of those was 3-pointers, though?
Actually 4.
4 of them. All right, there you go, bro.
Did you get clear polish on your manicure?
Hey, look, man. It's only gay if you get a pedicure.
Oh, Lord, he does. You thought he was, you would think he got it buff. You would think he got it buff.
Only if you get a pedicure does it become a problem. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. It's a problem. I don't know what the hell he doing.
Oh man, y'all killing me. Donald, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Hey man, I'm great. I'm good, man. I'm good. Had a good weekend. You know what I mean? We got to see our first place Eagles win on Thursday, as I predicted, regardless of how we came about the win, you know what I mean? And I predicted we would be in first place all by our lonesome, and that's where we at right now. And so, you know, Saturday was Saturday. Sunday I do my thing, church thing, and all that good stuff. That's about it. That's about it, fellas.
So my weekend, man, it consisted of we had to get another desk because, you know, my wife and I, we work in the same office space, and I'm telling you, man, it's like we it's hard to talk to people on the phone when you're working in the same space. So I had this guy deliver a desk. We donated a desk to someone because we didn't think we would need it, and then this whole COVID situation came about. Next thing I know, this guy delivers this desk, right? And I mean, it's a straight up office desk. This thing probably weighed like 200 pounds, and it was no way in the world I was getting upstairs. So I had to completely pull it down. I had to break it down, take it upstairs piece by piece. And then Friday night, man, I just went to work on it. I started, got me a little drink and just started, man, putting this desk together. Next thing you know, Saturday morning, I took a couple of, I'm doing some free resume consultations with people right now, offering that up. And I had a few people take me up on it. I'm doing it throughout the end of the year. And so check me out on LinkedIn if you haven't. If you're interested in getting your resume, a free consultation, check me out on LinkedIn. But yeah, I had 2 of those conversations occur. And then my wife and I went out, got a bite to eat, and that was it. So here we are. I'm glad to be here with all of y'all, man. We got a serious topic today I want to talk about. I want to talk about police brutality. And so I really want to start off on this topic with first, just kind of, I want to recognize a few people, right? Because there are a few people out here today who are, whose names I want to recognize as individuals impacted by this police brutality. And so, you know, I guess one of the questions that I would have is it's obviously been ongoing for a long time, right? Since John Lewis crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge to even today. And so, and it can go back even further, right? And so I wanted to really just kind of shout out to you all, just some names that I came across and their ages, where these things occurred and the reason. So in 2014, we had R. Rosser, her name, age 40, Ann Arbor, Michigan. It was a domestic dispute. She was shot. Her, I think her boyfriend at the time might have called the police and wanted to get her out of the house. She ended up getting shot. Eric Garner, you all, I'm sure, have heard, age 43, Staten Island. He was selling loose cigarettes, and he was killed through a chokehold. Akai Gurley, age 28, Brooklyn, New York. He was coming down a staircase in his home. I think he lived in a project area, and a cop was coming up the steps and had shot up in the stairwell, and a bullet hit the wall and killed him. Gabriela Navarez, age 22, Sacramento, California, was driving. She drove into some patrol cars. I think she had got stopped and then tried to drive off, drove into patrol cars, and they shot her, killed her. Tamir Rice, age 12, Cleveland, Ohio, playing with a toy gun, got shot by the police in the playground. Michael Brown, age 18, Ferguson, Missouri, walking with a friend, got shot by police. Tanisha Anderson, age 37, Cleveland, Ohio, mental health case. She ended up dying. That was 2014. 2015, Michelle Casso, age 50, Phoenix, Arizona, at home. She was a mental health case as well, was shot. Freddie Gray, age 25, Baltimore, Maryland. Police, he was in the police van. They had cuffed him up, and they basically didn't put a seatbelt on him. When he got out of the back of the police van, he had spinal cord. His spinal cord was severed. He died. Janisha Fonville, age 50, Charlotte, North Carolina, at home, mental case. She was shot. 2016, Philando Castile, age 32, Falcon Heights, Minnesota, traffic stop. He informed the officer, hey, listen, I have a legal firearm. And the officer got nervous and shot him. Alton Sterling, age 37, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, was selling DVDs, shot 6+ times by the police. 2018, Stephon Clark, age 22, Sacramento, California. He was shot in his grandma's backyard 20+ times. Botham John, age 26, Dallas, Texas, at home, shot by Amber Geiger. Y'all know that she claimed she walked into the wrong apartment and then thought she had an intruder and shot him. She's serving 10 years, is my understanding. Atiana. Thank you, man. Atiana Jefferson, age 28, Miami, Florida. In her own home, she was shot through the window. A neighbor called and said they thought that someone was in the house, and a police officer looked through and shot her through the window. That was in 2019. And then 2020, we had Rayshard Brooks, age 27, Atlanta, Georgia. He was sleeping in his car. The cops had pulled him over. He was, they say he was drinking. I think he was in a restaurant drive-through, and he ran, and they shot him in the back. Daniel Prude, age 41, Rochester, New York. Rochester, New York, mental health case. He died of asphyxia. Breonna Taylor, age 26, Louisville, Kentucky. We all know the police went to the wrong house and knocked. I don't know if they knocked or didn't knock. I understand it. I thought it was a no-knock warrant, but she was shot and killed. And then, of course, George Floyd, age 46, Minneapolis, Minnesota. They said he was trying to pass $20 counterfeit bill, and we all know how that went. He died from a knee to the neck. And so that's a lot of names, fellas. And I just want to, just for a moment, just kind of be quiet here and just ask you to think just think about, what are your thoughts on just what you heard from me right now? Yeah, it's, dude, that could be any one of us, straight up. That hurts my heart, quite frankly. It almost want to bring me to tears. So, I did some research, and I want to talk a little bit about it, right? Why does this keep happening across the country year after year? And so there was a Stanford study done, and it's titled Seeing Black Race, Crime, and Visual Processing. And they say there's two factors. There's race and fear. And I want to read this very quickly. When people see black faces, they become quicker to see or think they see weapons, or become more likely to think about crime. Similarly, when scientists prime experimental subjects with suggestions of crime and violence, and then show them pictures of groups of people, the subject's eyes move automatically to black faces. Blackness, the researchers said, operates as a visual tuning device. Similarly, when people see black children, they tend to see them as older, larger, more muscular, more threatening than white children, uniformly overestimating their age and bulk. And a prime example of that is what we talked about with Tamir Rice. When they saw him, they thought he was approximately 18 years old and 185 pounds, and he was a 12-year-old kid. So that's the race piece. Think about the fear piece in addition. But why would there be a fear on part of the police? So from the academy onwards, they say the officers learn from trainers, speakers, and veterans that every encounter with a civilian carries the potential for lethal violence. The sheer volume of what trainers show them sends a different message. Every time, everywhere, all the time, civilians will try to kill them, maim them, and assault you, right? And the response to this has been for the police to cultivate the warrior officer. The warrior is always ready at all times to respond to the constant lethal threats presented everywhere with righteous violence. It's a war. And they're the soldiers. So it's no wonder this study says it's no wonder that when police perceive a threat, they often respond with violence. It is also not surprising that sometimes, even if the officer's fear was real, the threat was not. So my first question, like, that's a lot of information, but my first question is do you think all cops are bad? Anybody?
No.
Donald, you raised your hand. You want to say something?
Because there's 800. Across the country, there's 800,000 police officers, and with that statement, if all cops were bad, the death rate would be, I mean, it's bad as it is. One life that has been lost to police brutality is insufficient, is unacceptable. So I was just going to give this quick story of how we're perceived, and this is unrelated to the police. So I coached this tournament. It was a predominantly Caucasian tournament. There was only 2 black teams, and there was a crazy disparity of fouls. Like, my team got called for like 22 fouls to their 2 or 3 fouls. So during the game, I asked the referee, I said, why can't you call the game fair? Why can't my girls are just as susceptible as your girls to fouling? Why is this such a disparity? He says, well, your girls are tougher than my girls.
Wow.
It's a white ref. It's a white ref telling me that my girls are tougher than his girls. And that's the perception across America. No matter where you are, no matter what state you live in, there's a perception. There's that the color of our skin is our weapon. And the darker the skin, the bigger the threat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Marine?
Yeah, well, I think when we talked about this before, the fact that it is reported about black on black crime, we are the only ones that get reported on. So if I continue to drill this into your head, you're going to start believing it. I'll tell you a story. I was in Japan, and I was flying to Thailand, and I had to stop in, and I wanted to watch a movie. So I paid for, and all the movies I've seen that were available were black exploitation movies, right? They showed us as pimps and all this. So when I went into Japan, the people perceive us that way. That's the way we looked at. Like, I'm like, and then I understand, because this is what you're being fed. So if you continue to feed that negativity about black people, then it's a natural, you don't even have to think about it. Like you say, your eyes go to the black kid. They're tougher. We're worse. We're going to be, we're going to be criminals. But they tell them that. Think about it. We're the only ones who get our crime reported against our people. Nobody else talks about white on white or brown on brown or yellow on yellow. We don't even get reported about it. Yeah. So it's defined that way, man. So if it's put into your head every day, what do you start doing? Believe it. Even if I tell you a lie, if you tell a lie for 20 years, guess what you start doing? You start believing that lie.
Yeah. Baller, any comments there on this whole thing right now?
Well, being in law enforcement myself, I get kind of asked this question a lot, and all of us are not bad. I'm in a group of guys that's the farthest from what we do. We try to build our community up. We try to gain respect from the people in our community, the communities that we go to weekly, daily, monthly, but I feel it's a tragedy, just like, how it hit you in here, and how you was feeling. I felt the same way, because, before I had the job I had, y'all guys knew who I was, and I'm like, it's going to hit me the same way, regardless of what I do for a living. And, it like, when I watch it on the news, man, it hits me hard. I'm not going to say it hits home, but it just hits me as a person, as a father, as a brother, as an uncle, as a husband, you know, and it hits me that some of these cats, you know, because I'm gonna tell you a story real quick. When I was in the academy for maybe about 2 weeks at this point. I was actually on my grandmother's block. Actually, it was a Saturday morning, had my books in the front seat of my car, passenger side. I was talking to someone else. 2 officers drove up, both of them white. One was about my height, my build. Another one had to be about like 5'6". Now, mind you, it's about 75 degrees. Nice day, whatever. So I saw them when they got out, and I'm standing. I didn't move because we're just standing talking. So they both get out with leather gloves on, and I'm looking. I'm like, the leather gloves. So they come up and they ask me, well, why are you on the corner? I said, well, we're not doing anything. We're standing on this corner talking. So we need you to get off the highway. I said, get off the highway? I said, what do you mean get off the highway? So now this is the little short one talking. Now, of course, he has to look up at me. So, and I'm looking down at him. And he said, what's your name? I said, my name is Barry. He asked for ID. I said, ID for what? We need to make sure who you are. I need to know who you are. So I give him my ID, the big one. So I'm talking to the little short one. So I say to him, so I said, you mean to tell me when I get out the academy, I could do the same thing that you're doing to me right now? So the little short one tells us, I said, because my car is right here. And I said, if you look in my front seat, you'll see something. So the big one goes to my front passenger seat, looks into it, looks in my car, and does like he said, let him go. I said, no. You ain't answer my question. So these guys, you know, I'm going to say it for what it's worth. These white boys that come into these areas, you know, the hood, you know, these low income areas and do this, they have that mentality of coming, like, I got to come and be that super dude. And, you know, and they come with the wrong mentality. They don't come and try to say, who are you? And let me gain your respect so I can, you know, get to go home myself, right. You know, but they came with this cockiness, you know, and I'm like, and like, I see these guys on a daily basis, those type of guys on a daily basis. You know, sometimes I say something, sometimes I don't, you know, because sometimes it's not worth it, you know, because they're brought up from their fathers, who's a cop, their fathers, who's a cop, and they come with that funky mentality about Black people.
Right.
Bottom line.
Right. Also, I mean, any thoughts just on what we were talking about initially?
Well, for me, you know, as far as the question about are all police officers, you know, that way, I have my father-in-law is a retired police officer. I also have a cousin who's on duty. So I have family members that work for the police department. Also in my profession, I've worked along with police officers and seen their day-to-day operation. There are good police officers out here. Right. That's like taking any profession and say, you know, people that, you know, deal with computers, are they all bad? You know what I mean? Somebody that repairs a TV, are they all bad? You know, all those names you mentioned, of course, we can, you know, we're going to talk about and get into what might have led them to do these things, and we're going to have our opinions on them. But for me, as far as dealing with police officers in my lifetime, I've never had any issues with them. And like I said before, you know, I have family members that are police officers, so I kind of, you know, I look at them as far as, you know, I hear the stories in their day-to-day operation. And sometimes people don't see, and this isn't making excuses for any of the bad police officers. Let me be very clear about that. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you don't see the day-to-day operation or the day-to-day that they go through from the time that they get up in the morning, the time they report off. And most police officers will tell you, I just want to get through my shift and be able to go home to my family. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I mean, right now, that's my opinion. Like I said, I haven't had any negative things. You know, like I said, it's just, you know, I try to talk to my father-in-law and get his opinion on situations. You know, he retired. Maybe he's been retired for about 20 years. So he went through the academy and all of that and was out there in the 60s and the 70s, very turbulent times.
Right.
And like I said, my cousin's on the street. So I try to get their opinions before I jump to make a decision and hear what they have to say.
Right. Big Doc, what are your thoughts on what you've heard so far?
No, all cops aren't bad. I know quite a few officers. I even I smoke with one, and he gives me information of all the stuff that he goes through. I had an incident with one officer, I say about a good 10 years ago. And the fact that I'm bringing this story up is that I knew the whole set of the people. And it was about a cell phone. I found the cell phone out on the street while I was at work. It was like a trap situation. And they called the cell phone like, yo, did you find my cell phone? Like, yeah, I found your cell phone. I said, yo, I'm right here at 10th and Filbert. I said, I can bring your cell phone right to you.
Yeah.
So I come outside. They still talking to me on the phone. I get down there, and it's a crowd of cops on the corner of 10th and Filbert. Mm-hmm. I'm like, hey, I got your phone. Get on the floor. I said, get on the floor for what? I said, I'm returning the phone. Oh, you stole the phone. I says, I have a brand new cell phone in my hand. Why would I steal this phone? And I have a phone. There's no need. I want to return the phone. I got locked up. I got the shoestrings taken out of my sneakers, the belt removed, the whole 9 yards. Because the fact of you guys didn't believe what I said because of the perception, the black guy, tall, and you stole the phone. Just there was no excuse for that. And you know me. I'm working downtown for the past 15 years. Yeah. So I was upset at that point. And then I was also told, like, yo, Darius, you shouldn't be talking to those guys anyway, because it's a little bit of falsification with them. They're only doing their job, or they're doing this and they're doing that. But all cops aren't bad. Just that one incident I had with the officers that kind of bothered me a little bit and made me have like a crooked eye towards those people.
White boy.
No, how about she was? Y'all gonna laugh at this one. She was Hispanic.
Yeah. Crooner, how about you, man?
Yeah.
How about you, Crooner?
Yeah, you know what? I had issues with the police, but my brother was a cop that he passed on line of duty, and I believe it's the policing also when I was in the military, you know, and I used to always think this. I said, why don't the good police give information about these dudes they know is bad? Mm-hmm. It always bothered me, you know. But I don't think all police is bad, but I just think that they can step up like we can step up as individuals too. I remember back in I'm older than you guys. I remember back in the day, if you wore a certain hat or looked a certain way, the police gonna stop you. You already knew it. I had these little dingleberry hats, you know, and walking down the street with my little white T-shirt on. I knew I would get stopped. And I was 16 years old, pulled me over, threw me on the car. Who you affiliated with? I ain't affiliated with nobody. What gang you represent? I don't represent no gang. Shut the F up. I mean, I like, this is a trip. I got beat up for just dressing a certain way. So once I learned my lesson, I stopped dressing that way. But it's a shame that you can't express yourself the way you want to express yourself without being harassed, you know?
Hey, you know what? I've been driving BMW since 1984, right? I have been pulled over, I counted it the other day, 19 times without getting a ticket. 19 separate times. I got pulled over for a felony drug stop on the 5 highway. Guns drawn, surrounded, because they ran my license plate and they did it wrong. And I could have got shot right there. And you know what they say when they got done? They looked and I gave them, oh, sorry, our mistake. But 19 times I've been pulled over. And the last time was in Riverside, California.
Check this out. That happened to me twice. You know, I've always had Suburbans. All right. I moved up here 20 years ago. So the first thing they asked me, they pulled me over, they said, who car is this? I said, what you mean, who car is this? It's my car. They say, where you coming from? I'm coming from Temecula, you know? I said, I'm going down to San Diego. He said, Okay. But then I learned something. If you show your military ID, they let you go, Kev. I was out there. They stopped me again. I put my military ID. He said, "Oh, hey, I was in the Navy. Yeah, how you doing, homie? Yeah, right on. You need to slow down a little bit." I said, "Okay, I need to slow down."
That's not all police though. They ain't all.
No,
police
I'm telling you, I got pulled over about 6-7 times when I showed the military ID in the grocery store. I show it in the bank. I show it everywhere. And then, let me tell you, the way I'm treated when I don't show it and the way I'm treated when I have it is totally
agree.
Yeah.
Let me tell you also, the same thing happened to me. I used to deliver news. I always had a hustle on the side. I deliver newspapers.
So hold on before you get into that topic.
Okay.
Why do you think you were treated differently because you have a military ID?
Because they can associate me being in the military that I was a good guy. I was a good one of the guys.
Mm-hmm.
But I served my country.
Maybe there's an association that a lot of police are from
the military.
Oh yeah, a lot of police are military.
Mm-hmm.
And they think you one of the good ones, like the recruiter said. They look at you, but you gotta get to that.
Exactly.
You gotta get to your license. When you get a felony stop, you don't get to your license first. You get the guns drawn on you first,
yeah.
And you up against the car, and then I can get to my license and show them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But why am I getting pulled over? That's the question I always ask. What did I do? One time I got pulled over. He said he couldn't see my front license plate. I said, okay, no problem. He says, so where you going? I said, I'm going to Mission Inn. He said, well, your ID says you live in Moreno Valley. Yeah. I said, okay, so what does that mean?
That's racial profiling, right?
Exactly.
That's exactly what's occurring.
He passed me. He was 10 feet in front of me, went past me, and did a U-turn. What could I have done in 10 feet to make this man do a U-turn and pull me over? Mm-hmm. What could I have done?
Be black.
I knew what it was. And I tried to be as kind as I could be because I ain't trying to get shot. And that's a terrible feeling that you got to worry about your life when you ask the right question, like, why am I being pulled over, officer?
Yeah, yeah.
Because why are you here? Do you know this is a high drug area? No, I don't. I'm trying to park.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Hey, Crooner, so finish your story. I did interrupt you, but finish what you were saying.
I'm just saying, that I was delivering a newspaper, and so for some reason they got a call that somebody was burglarizing or robbing something. So about 2:00 in the morning, I went through the little mall. I had at least 10 police cars surround me. They kind of like waiting for me with the guns drawn. And the police officer came up to my car. First they say, stick your hands out the window. Hell, woo, I was fast,
Yeah.
And they came over and they turned my car off. Then he said, oh, we're looking for somebody that robbed somebody. Check this out. 165, about 5'10". See,
18 years old.
You know why Barry laughing? Because he know I ain't no damn 165. and then what else he did? He looked and saw the newspapers in the car. He said, "Oh, we sorry, man. We sorry." But then that didn't bother me. They had the guns drawn and everything else, lights. They had all the headlights over and everything. The officer laughed. He walked off just laughing like he said, we got this one wrong. Come on, fellas. They wrapped it up. They left. And I sit there for like about 10 minutes, man. First I was mad. Then I got emotional, man. I'm like, this don't make no sense, man. Why is it like this?
Yeah.
And I just say, forget it. I just like, man.
So some of y'all answered some questions to the second question, which was, have you ever personally experienced any police brutality or racial profiling? But some of you didn't. So, Donald, have you ever experienced racial profiling, police brutality, man?
I've definitely experienced the profiling. Being from Philadelphia, working in the Chamonix, Bucks County area. I've been working in Bucks County since '94. So when I had a Dodge Intrepid with tinted windows, pulled over, DWB, driving while black. And then when I got my Escalade with the 24-inch rims on it, definitely got pulled over.
Definitely get pulled over there.
Definitely got pulled over. But what he didn't know, what the officer didn't know, is that I had friends that were working in the Bensalem Police Department, right? Mm-hmm. So after he gives me the ticket for driving with tinted windows, right. I go to court and I find out that this officer, he had 22 people showing up for court. out of the 22 people that he issued citations to that are there in the courtroom,
Right.
19 of those were black. Now I go in there with my suit on, with my government credentials, all that good stuff. Now the judge throws the case out because he doesn't feel that I should have even got pulled over for any reason. So they actually reimbursed my ticket fee and my court fee.
Wow.
But that's a primary example of how we're treated specifically in the county. Now you guys know that from Philly, if we went outside of the Philadelphia, Chestnut Hill, Montgomery County, Delaware County, the perception of us is different, especially in those type of vehicles. So yeah, and I have a license to carry, as everyone knows at this point.
Hey, he's frozen up. He's frozen up. So I'm not sure if he's going to hear us. Anybody else? And we'll pause him when he comes back in. Let's see. Anybody else did not share about their experience on police brutality or racial profiling?
Is it loaded 2 fingers? I've been through all of that.
Hold on one moment. You paused up again. You paused up. So you talked about you carrying, and then it kind of froze at that point. Everybody knows.
I don't know. Yeah. So I got pulled over, and the thing that I have to do is I have to roll down all of my windows.
Right.
Turn the lights on in the interior of the car, specifically is at nighttime. Tell the officer I have the gun. Tell him it's loaded. My hands are on the steering wheel until they ask me to reach in. They ask me to reach in with my 2 fingers, grab it by the butt, pass it to them through the window. So yeah, I've experienced the profiling, never any brutality. I have a member of the Fraternal Order of Police. I've been a member of the Fraternal Order of Police since 2000. Right. So whenever I do get pulled over in the city, I just slide in my FOP cards, and 99% of the time it's really, I don't have no issue.
Right. Does anyone know anybody who's experienced police brutality directly? Yeah. So I don't know anyone who's experienced police brutality. I've of course experienced racial profiling. And I'm not quite happy about it. If I get stopped by a police officer now, and I guess we'll talk about that, but I guess that leads into the next question, right? Here's the question. What conversations are you having with your children about police brutality or racial profiling? Leon, let's start with you, Kerner.
Let me tell you, man, that's a really tough one for me. We live in Temecula, man. Temecula's got like, I say, if 82% black. And my son, 16 years old, driving in the neighborhood. He got pulled over by 2 cops with the guns drawn. And good thing I told him, do whatever the police tell you to do. Just say yes, sir, no, sir, and do what you're supposed to do. Nowadays, the kids are questioning the police like it ain't nothing. It was tripping me out when I first saw that. I like, what the hell wrong with this boy? Why his mom and dad didn't tell him to be respectful? What's going on with this? But he knew his rights. But I went up to the police station and I talked to the police. It was a sergeant. I said, yo, man, I've been living up here for it was maybe 5 years at the time. And I said, I never had any incident. I said, but it don't make no sense for you to pull over my son with guns drawn. I said, all he was doing was driving his car.
What was your response, Leon? Do you recall?
No, I didn't get no response at all. He just looked at me like I lost my damn mind. I just said, man, see, you can't escape it. Yeah. And I moved my family out to the suburbs because I thought it'd be a safer environment.
Yeah.
Worse. It's a worse environment up there because you're being, in that category as being a troubled black man.
Ain't that right? Hey, that's a good call on that, Doc. Interesting. And you mentioned, people know their rights, but here's the reality, man. We can know our rights, but it don't make a difference when
that's
right?
True. That's true.
Right? Like I watch tons of videos and I saw a white woman berate a police officer up and down. And a white guy berate. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Right? Up and down. And I'm like, had I did that? It's just, that's crazy.
Let me share one of the military stories. I was 18 years old and we were going from Orlando. From Norfolk, Virginia to Orlando. Guy named Walter. Walter was white. Now, I'm 18, so we get pulled over by the police. And the first thing he said was, "What the hell you pulled me over for?" I said, "You better shut the hell up. I'm about to whoop his ass because he pissing off the police." I said, "Man, I never in my life heard nobody talk to the police like that. It freaked me out." I'm like, "Whoa." Named Walter.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that, fellas. Was there an overlapping audio right there?
A little bit.
Yeah, my bad. My bad. And so no, repeat that last piece then. My apologies. I
just said I had a buddy named Walter, and he was cursing the police out. And I couldn't believe it. I was shocked because I thought as soon as the police we stopped, I had my hands in my lap, doing what I was supposed to do. I didn't know what Walter was gonna do. Walter started cursing the police out. So what the hell you pulled me over for? La 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 la. I said, "Man, you better shut the hell up. I'm about to whoop your ass myself. What's wrong with you?"
Wow. Anybody else?
I have I got a 15-year-old son, right? And what I try to teach him is, of course, respect, because respect is big in my home. And, if you met any of my sons, they're going to respect you for being older. That's what I teach them. But I also teach them, don't give them the bullets to shoot you with. What I mean by this, they already got the gun. If you go out there and you start acting a fool, or you ain't got your registration, you ain't your license is out, your car ain't right, you know what I mean? Don't give them nothing that they can use against you.
Right.
But I tell my sons, if I get pulled over for speeding, the only ticket they can give me is speeding. You understand? Because the registration is going to be right. The insurance is going to be right. I'm going to have my stuff in order. I'm not going to give them a reason, to do extra things to me. And that's what I tell them. Don't give them, if you ride around with weed on you and all this other stuff and you get pulled over, that's what they're going to use to beat you down, trust me, and get away with it. So don't give them any ammunition to use against you. And always be respectful, even when you don't feel like it. We can deal with it later, because you was live fighting it a lot better than you did, because you took a stand in respect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Amen.
Well, B, what conversations have you been having, man?
I actually had a situation where both of my boys were in my truck, and I forget where we were going, and I got lights behind me. So I told both of my boys, "Listen, this is how I want y'all to react when a cop pulls you over." So he comes up, he said, "I went through a stop sign." I'm like, "Okay." So he asked for license and registration. And it's a black officer.
Right.
So hand him the information that he requested. So something was wrong with my registration. So then another squad car comes up, because sometimes they make the call in for backup or whatever. So the black officer's behind me. Another squad comes up past me. So he actually waved them off like he's good. But at this point in time, I didn't let them know that I was law enforcement, because I wanted my boys to see how to take care of themselves. So again, something was wrong with the registration. So the officer comes back up and said, "Barry, something's wrong with the registration. It's not coming up." I was like, "I don't know what the problem is. I paid for it." So he said, "What you can do is you can go online right now and put it through the process," which I did. But as I'm doing that, it was telling me something. And I'm like, I'm not sure, because usually let the wife do all that mess. But anyway, so I'm in the process trying to do the registration in my truck. So something went haywire, and I'm trying to let the officer know something was wrong. So I actually get out, because now that one that was supposed to keep going, they start talking. So it was a young white boy, mid-30s, and he puts his hand, as I'm getting out, he puts his hand on his holster. He said, "Nobody told you get out the car." And I just looked at him, and I looked at the other officer, the black officer.
Right.
So now, because I usually, like I said, I didn't pull no badge out, nothing, because I wanted my boys to this is what you do. So the little white officer, so he said, "Nobody told you to get out the car." And I said, "First of all, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to him." So the black officer then says to the white officer, "Listen, I got this. I'm handling this." No, he need to get back in the car. So at this point in time, I flips my badge. Conversation stops. And I said, this is our problem now. I'm trying to teach my boys how to talk to you guys. And you automatically assumed I was a threat, which I have showed no threat to you except for getting out my vehicle. You know, so sometimes, and I think a couple of you guys are saying is the perception we have, you know, and then our perception, and then we try to teach our children, this is what you need to do. And sometimes it goes left from that situation, you know, and then talking to the blacks officer, we know the same people. We know the same people. We in that same clique, right. You know, and then like I saw the officer again, he said, yo, he said, Barry, I got with that boy, you know, because I said all I was trying to do was show my boys what they need to do to make sure they come home. Right. You know, and like we gonna get those officers, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna get those officers, you know, and I'm not gonna say it's they all white. We got a few black ones that do it too, you know, but I want to say it's almost 70% white, because when those cats get out of the academy, them white boys get out of the academy, they shoot them to the black neighborhoods.
Yeah,
so
yeah, go ahead. Also, how about you, man? What conversations are you having?
I have a conversation with my son about it, and it's I'm gonna say it's funny, but not funny. But again, we have family that's police officers that's retired. Right. So I had one situation when my son's 37 years old. So I had a situation when he was about 10 years old. We were riding back from watching Get on the Bus. That was a movie that was out at the time. Me and him went to go check it out. And just so happens that I went through a light that was yellow at the time. Right. And of course it turned red in the middle. Police officer, you know, flashes lights. My son is young. He sees the lights. He sees all the lights and stuff like that. He's in the back seat. He's jumping around. Oh, lights. I said, no big movements. Now we're talking, you know, we're talking years ago. Right. 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 Because I was taught that from my father. My father always told me, again, be respectful to police. When they come up on you, don't make a whole lot of movements, right? So, but my son was fascinated by these lights, you know, and police officer came over and said, sir, are you aware that you went through a red light? I said, well, no disrespect, sir, but at the time it was yellow. Gave him license, registration, everything like that. He ran it, came back and said, next time, just watch yourself going through it. Now, I paid the ticket, no big deal. But I say that as a precursor to say this. My son has never had any major incidents with him because, and I'm hoping that one incident kind of was the foundation of how to deal with a police officer. So he hasn't had any major incidents of that. I've spoken to him about it. Like I said, his grandfather has spoken to him about it. So by the grace of God, he hasn't had any of those things. Kind of a funny story that I do want to share as far as police officers. And this was years ago when I lived in the Northeast. And Donald know what I'm talking about. Coming back from Lindenfield, playing basketball. I was about 15, 16 years old. I'm walking back. Playing basketball. Basketball. I did used to play basketball. No. This way.
Baller thinks he's the only guy that can play ball. Go ahead. Let the old soul finish.
Anyway, so I'm coming back home, and around that time, it was around, you know, it's around 10 o'clock. It's not late, but it's in the summertime, and this is back when they used to have curfew. Police officer comes over and says, you know, can I ask you where you're going? I said, I'm going home. He says, where's home? So, of course, I lived in the Northeast on Gulch Road. My sister was taking care of me. And last thing, I wanted her to know that I was getting stopped by a police officer. I said, you know what? Hop in the back of the car. We're going to take you home. I said, well, officer, I'm just staying up here with my sister, but I live with my father in North Philly. So I'm just telling lies upon lies, because now I'm in the back of the car. This is my first, last, and only time I was ever in the back of a police car. He drives me to the steps of the house.
Your sister's house or your dad's house?
My sister. No, we're in the Northeast.
Yeah, okay.
So he says, can you have your, I said, well, can I call my father? He says, is your father your legal guardian? I said, yes. So I go in the house because, again, no cell phones. We're, you know.
Sure.
I said, Dad, you know, I got this police officer. He stopped me, and I don't want to tell, you know. He said, well, first of all, calm yourself down. The first thing you don't ever want to do a police officer is lie to him. I said, well, you can scratch that out. Already did that. Already lied to him. He says, put him on the phone. He says, put him on the phone. Because the police officer asked me address. I don't know nothing about no addresses in North Philly at the time.
Sure.
He says, put the police officer on the phone. So he gets on the phone. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No problem. Yes, sir. Okay, fine. Hangs up the phone. And my father, before he hangs up the phone, my father says, make sure when you get in the house, do not share this with your sister and go straight to bed. I will talk to you tomorrow. The police officer is a nice guy. He's going to let you go. Police hangs up the phone. Police officer says, sir, I just spoke to your father. Make sure you're in the house at a reputable time. I don't want to do this again.
Right.
And your father told me, don't say nothing to your sister about it. So please don't. So, you know, in a nutshell, like I said, that was to bring a little humor to the whole thing. But that was my interaction. But as far as me, as far as my son, as far as anybody in my family, like I said before, we have family members that are in that profession. So we pretty much know, you know, as long as you're respectful to them, they will be respectful to you, period.
Mm-hmm. Donald.
I just want to say that his sister knows now. She may not have known then, but she
No,
definitely
she knows now.
She definitely knows now. So you might still hear something about that.
Yeah, but she can't put me on punishment right now, right?
No, but still the ear punishment though, bro. I don't know. Hey, fellas, y'all know what's up. But so yeah, for you know, having two 28-year-old sons and a 24-year-old daughter, you know, I never thought I would actually have to have the same conversation I had with my sons that you know, with my daughter. But there's no respect of person. The police, in some situations that you just identified with all the names, doesn't make a difference whether they're male or female. So I had to have the same conversation. And believe it or not, my daughter is more like me. She's more mouthy. And so I you know, once I told my boys, and I've said to this, they're 28 now. So I've said to them years and years ago. We've been here in Northeast Philly since 1999. So I had to let them know that, listen, up here, you know, no back talk. They're very respectful young men anyway, right? But my daughter's like, where'd you pull? We got pulled over one time coming back from a basketball game, and she gonna be in the car. What they pull you over for? Shut up. You know, I had to tell her, shut up. Just sit there and just be quiet. And one of the other things that I had to tell my kids, like I remember, I have my driver's license number memorized. So in the event that I forget my ID and you get pulled over, I can give them my driver's license number off the top of my head, because you never know, right? So yeah, I've had that conversation, man. Even not just by driving, but just walking down the street. You know, you look like he's like the crooner said in one of his stories, right? The bolo went out of someone that didn't even look nothing like him, yet he got pulled over.
Yeah.
So you never know. And I thank God actually that I have not experienced any police brutality. None of my family has, that, you know, that I'm aware of. And so I just thank God for that.
So Mike,
just to piggyback on that, I'm sorry, fact checker, but just to piggyback on what Donald said, you know, I got to throw this caveat out that all of us as parents, you know, it doesn't take, you know, we've taught our sons the right way and the wrong way, but it still doesn't, that fear factor in 2020, knowing that, you know, that there's a target on their back, you know, you still have that fear factor as a parent, as a father. You know, we take ourselves out of the equation. You know, you don't want it to happen to you, right? But as a parent, you definitely fear the fact of it happening to your child, to your son. So it goes back to the whole thing that, you know, you just pray them up, you teach them the right way, and you pray that everything goes well. But it still doesn't take away from the fact that at any given moment, even though they're doing all the things you taught them, that something in the blink of an eye can happen, and it might not even be their fault. There's a fear factor there, but you just got to hope, you know, and pray that you taught them the right way.
Yeah.
Hey, Baller, quick question, man, and this came to my mind. When that situation was going the way it was, what if you weren't a cop?
If
you weren't a cop, what could have happened at that moment, man? That's the scary part about where we're at in this world. I thought about when you were saying it, because you could flip him and then chill him right out. We can't do that. I can't chill him out like that. You know what I mean? I thought about that, man. When you said that, I was like, wow, and you did everything right. You did everything you're supposed to do. Yet he still was a bully. He still was trying to instigate you. He was trying to push you. And they do that. And our young kids are not, they're a little bit more high strung than we were.
Yeah,
that's the scary part.
I think those white kids growing up were the scrawny little egghead guys who always got picked on in high school or in the neighborhood. And then that was their goal. Either I'm going into the service or I'm going to be a police officer. And once they have reached that goal, it's like, okay, now I got the grown man chest hairs, and now I'm going to be a bully the way I was bullied all those years. So the first reaction is like, okay, I got a gun on my hip. I can do whatever I want to do to anybody because it was done to me previously. So that's how I feel about them. Some of those white cops out in the world today. They've been bullied all their lives, and in high school, in the neighborhood, and that's why they're both trying to bully us now.
Yeah, but you know what, Doc? I think I think that's that might have happened with you, but I think we're making a generalization of white cops. Yeah, I think that same scenario that you spoke about with the being small and being picked on is the same thing that you've had with some brothers. Some brothers growing up, or some Asians or some Hispanics. When they were growing up, they were the run of the litter, and they got picked on. And then once they got a gun in the badge, like I said, I agree with the scenario you're talking about, but the generalization of it, I think you can divvy that up to any race or any culture. I think
that's a fair point, gentlemen. Listen,
I agree with Oso on that one. Definitely.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Let me say this. So for my son, my son, like I, went to a PWI, a predominantly white institution, as a high school, right? I mean, all three, Oso, Big Doc, and Donald, we went to PWI, high school institutions, right? And a lot of my son's friends are predominantly white. And so, that conversation with him was one such that I had to say, listen, you got a lot of white friends, and that's fine and well, right? But be aware that when you get stopped by the police, it's going to be a different story for you. All right. So I need you to be very careful and cautious out there, and don't just assume that you can do what your friends do and be treated the same. And so, I hope he's taking that. I hope he's taking that information, to heart as I shared it with him, because I had to tell, when you're around your friends, you just assume you're going to be treated completely the same. Right. And that's not the case. And it's unfortunate that, we have to learn through being treated badly that we are different. And so this whole police brutality has really come to the forefront, and I'm glad it has, especially given the George Floyd situation. And there's been calls now to defund the police. So my question to you is do you think, and by the way, defunding the police, some people think the goal is to take money away from the police in general, and that is, completely right. But that's not the case. So, the question is, do you think defunding police will help minimize police brutality? That's the first part of the question. And then the second part is, what do you think are some solutions to curtail police brutality? We're going to be closing out with that. So who wants to go and talk about that? Donald?
I don't think defunding the police myself, I don't think that's the solution. I think to kind of answer both questions at the same time, I think there should be more training. Definitely better training. I think they should be equipped with professionals on the job to be able to deal with people in their mental capacity. I think they should have that. And I also think that one of the solutions are go back to community policing. Let's take that police officer. Let's put him in a neighborhood. Let's put him in a neighborhood where he knows all the businesses. He knows the community. And let's try this. How about let's not give him a gun, okay? Let's give him a walking beat like they used to do way back in the day, so he can know everybody in the neighborhood. He knows the good, the bad, and the ugly, what's going on in that neighborhood. And the people get to know him and not judge him just on that gun that he's carrying, right? So that way you have a one-on-one dialogue with everybody in that community, and they feel more comfortable with you and around you. that's just, you know, that's just one of the things that I want to throw out there.
Big Doc?
I wouldn't defund either. It's just not the department itself. It's just that individual himself that has the problem.
Right.
Like what we're talking about. I think having sessions about those situations as far as police brutality, just having anger, whoever has like an anger management or have an anger management class or something, somebody that's, if those people are angry all the time, or if every time you're going out, you always have a negative attitude towards somebody, a whole lot of counseling, communicating with those people.
Those people
I think that
those people being the police or the, you know, us, the citizens?
No, I'm talking about the police themselves.
Okay.
As far as when you don't defund the department, I said don't defund it. I'm just saying a little bit more counseling, a little bit more communicating with those officers, having those little sessions. You know, let's say once a month, have a session saying, okay, fellas, we ain't going to do this, or, you know, okay, officers, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. You know, relax yourself out there. Don't take things too personal outside there. You know, find out the problem first before reacting.
Baller, what are your thoughts? I mean, the question again is defunding the police, will that help minimize police brutality? Additionally, what do you think are some solutions to curtail police brutality?
I'm not saying defunding will help. I'm not saying defunding will hurt, but I'm gonna go off on a little tangent here for us. I get
2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes. All right.
All right. Well, I get notifications on law enforcement stuff that happens in Philly. I just got one guy shot in West Philadelphia. Clearly, no weapon in his hand. And my whole thing is, if you don't have a weapon, if you're just coming towards me, to me, I don't need to draw my firearm. Okay. Usually, you know, I'll do it with these. I'll stop. Trust me, I'll stop you with these. You know, and that's where some of our guys, you know, need to, even though they're taught, because we got levels of force. One is our presence. Two is our verbalization commands. Empty hand control. And then less lethal weapons, which is mace, stun, batons, or whatever the case may be. And then the last one is the firearm.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We need to exhaust all those levels first before we get to that point. But defunding the police is, to me, is almost re-educating guys in blue. Re-educating. I mean, like, you mean to tell me this man gave you this type of threat that you had to put him down the way you did? You know? And that's where I go back and forth. I really go back and forth, because when I'm in the street, I'll tell a guy, you know, oh, you got to use your gun. No, trust me, bro, I can handle with these.
So what do you think is a solution then? I mean, speaking of that.
Fact checker, I want to almost say education, but to me, it's not even about education. You know, it's like we go through, before you go through the cam, you go through screening. You go through certain oral testing, the psychological testing. They need to reevaluate at that point. I want to talk to these officers again. I want to give them psych evaluations again and see what the hell is coming out their mouths.
So maybe a yearly psych eval?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because I can educate you on it, but if your beliefs is totally different, you just had an education of it. That's not what you believe. You know, you shouldn't believe that if a man has no weapon, if he's coming towards you, you and your partner should be able to put him down with no lethal force.
Excessive force.
Crooner.
You know what? It always starts at the top, man. You know, as far as what we can do. And I just remember being political. They said the police department is going to get racial sensitivity training. And the president said, "No, we don't want to do that." He said, "They make you hate the police." You know, and you gotta you got to know that we are different people, okay? And like it's been said, if you come to our neighborhoods, most people going to accept you, but you just can't look at this as being a weapon. This can't be a weapon, but it is. And
I think Donald I think you text me, Donald. The color of our skin is our sin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. I'm just saying because you said our faces, right? They look
and and matter of fact, it's ironic because that hat you wearing, I wish it did matter.
Interesting.
I wish it did matter.
Marina Comedy.
I think, of course, I'm a big training type person. I'm big on that. I don't think that funding does it. I think moving the money around where it needs to be, I think that would definitely help. But I think it has to be an ongoing training. It can't be just, you can't change a person's what's been embedded in their brains for 30 years in a 6-week course of how to deal with Black people. You can't do that.
Right.
So this has to be ongoing. It has to be constant. You know, like the baller said, you got to bring them back and reevaluate some of these guys because they get out there, they get out of control. But let me say this about the violence side, about what cops can get away with. If you and I are fighting, Vance, and you are getting the best of me, I can't pull out a pistol and shoot you. I can only come at you with what you bring to me. How come it's not the same for the police?
Exactly.
How can a man with no gun attack you, but you allowed to shoot him 9 times? You know, we can't do the same thing as civilians. We're not allowed. I can't even get a club and beat you with it if you sitting there whooping my ass. I can't. Legally. And now if it's 2 of them, it's different. But why is it not the same for civilians and police when it comes to brutality? The same thing we do to each other, I go to jail for. But you can do the exact same thing to me. So we have to change the way they look at this. And it starts like, and as the crooner said, at the top. It starts at the top because he sets the precedence of what's going to happen from here on out. And let's go back to the vote and them judges that are being put in those seats. You better think about this because it goes back to our discussion 3 shows ago about this vote. Because if those people, and many of them were law enforcement, became judges, what are they carrying on? What are they showing?
Donald.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm having some technical difficulties over here. It's crazy. This 5G phone is supposed to be the end all to be all, but so far it has not lived up to its billing. So defunding the police, I definitely don't agree with that. And I believe that it was being used as a political tool. No one in their right mind really was defunding. If anything, we need better policing, more policing in certain neighborhoods.
Yes.
But one of the things that I think has to happen is deeper psychological profiles. In 2020, if you're going to become a police officer, they should be able to crawl all the way up your sphincter. And what I mean by that is whatever you posted, whatever you put on your Instagram page, whatever you put on your Facebook page, that information should be used against you. And they should bring in someone like an FBI profiler to vet some of these candidates for policing. I'm going to piggyback a little bit on what the comedian said and what the baller said. The psychological aspect of it, but when you talk about training, right, you know, some of these video games that you guys play are really realistic, right? Put these police officers in different scenarios that you can evaluate how they're going to respond and put their bodies up to different EKGs to see if a Black person or a person of color comes up and as they're moving into, they can't control that emotion. And if those things are spiking, then the same way it would spike in the video game when he sees people of color will be the same way it would spike on the street. Yeah. So I just think deeper psychological profiles and background checks and better vetting for potential police officers.
That'd be a great test right there, man.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I appreciate y'all sharing that. Let me, I think a lot of things that what y'all said hit on additional part of the study I saw. One, I don't believe in defunding. I believe in reallocation of funds, right?
Yes, that's
right. And I think everyone is saying that. So this study says don't abolish police, instead unbundle what task police now do. and ask which of those tasks actually need police response, right? A report of a gunfight, yes, a person with mental health crisis or an issue with a homeless person or drug overdose, no, maybe you send out some other type of professional, right? Social worker, mental health counselors, they can come to the scene. So not just funding the police, but really taking those monies and spread them out to those other departments where we can get that support at, and that could probably minimize some police brutality. Second, police need to be held accountable, right? Police misconduct, it needs to be transparent. The consequences need to be transparent. Think about the Breonna Taylor situation, right? And it's a small percentage. We all agree that not all cops are bad. It's a small percentage that are bad, but bad apples in an apple barrel, it's the whole, right? The department as a whole, if they're accepting these things and these behaviors, then that's not a good thing. Then the organization itself is rotting as a culture. So, and thirdly, so there's four of them. Third, union contracts make it too difficult to get rid of those who don't belong in uniform, right? These police are in contracts, and so those type of things, those type of agreements must change. And lastly, the use of force law must change. The Supreme Court and some state laws set the bar far too low, allowing more and more use of force, even deadly force than necessary. And to the Marina Comedy's point, we can't do those type of things, so they should not be allowed to do those. So, these can be done through changes in the state and local laws. But back to the Marina Comedy's point as well, we need to think about the previous episodes where we talked about voting, it being very important. You need to get out there and vote. So, listen, I want to thank you all, brothers, for really just talking about this today, police brutality. As well as, I think we segued a little bit into like racial profiling. It is an important topic for you listeners out there. We hope, you glean something from our conversation today, and we thank you. So please do subscribe if you aren't subscribed on YouTube with us, so you can be notified every time these come out. We might have experienced some technical difficulties today. I did a FaceTime live on this, and I might have crossed over some things, but look, we really appreciate y'all taking the time and checking us out. So subscribe, share, comment. And my brothers, I really love y'all, man. It's always enjoyable.
Love you too, bro.
Until next time, I'm out, man. Peace to y'all, all right?
Fellas.
Brother, take care.
Always good to see everybody, man. Glad to be back.